Hollywood's golden age is often remembered for its glamour, elegance, and unforgettable stars. But behind the flashing cameras and red carpets were personal stories far more complicated than the public ever imagined. Some of these women lived lives filled with intense romances, emotional struggles, and choices that constantly placed them at the center of controversy. Their beauty made them famous, but their private lives kept the world talking for decades. Today, we're taking a closer look at 12 legendary actresses whose relationships, passions, and personal decisions shaped some of the most fascinating stories in entertainment history. As we uncover their journeys, you'll discover that fame often came with a price few people truly understood. Actor 1. Marilyn Monroe. When people hear the name Marilyn Monroe, they often picture one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood history. With her dazzling smile, unforgettable screen presence, and worldwide fame, she became a symbol of glamour that continues to captivate audiences even today. Yet behind the spotlight existed a woman whose life was far more complex than the image millions admired. Born as Norma Jean Mortensen, Marilyn's early years were marked by uncertainty and instability. She spent much of her childhood moving between foster homes and orphanages, experiences that left lasting emotional scars. While fame eventually gave her everything she had once dreamed of, it could never fully erase the loneliness she carried from her earliest years. As her popularity grew throughout the 1950s, Marilyn found herself constantly surrounded by attention. Admirers, reporters, filmmakers, and powerful figures all wanted a place in her life. Her relationships often became front-page news, turning her private struggles into public entertainment. Although the world viewed her as confident and glamorous, those closest to her frequently described a woman searching for genuine acceptance and emotional security. Her marriages to Joe DiMaggio and later Arthur Miller reflected two very different chapters of her life. One represented protection and devotion, while the other offered intellectual companionship and deeper conversation. Yet neither relationship provided the lasting stability she longed for. The pressures of fame, combined with personal insecurities, created challenges that followed her throughout her career. What many people don't realize is that Marilyn was deeply interested in literature, self-improvement, and personal growth. She spent countless hours reading books and studying acting, determined to be respected for more than her appearance. Unfortunately, the public often focused on the glamorous persona rather than the thoughtful woman behind it. Actor 2. Elizabeth Taylor. Few actresses in Hollywood history commanded attention quite like Elizabeth Taylor. Known for her striking violet eyes, extraordinary talent, and magnetic presence, she rose from child star to international icon, becoming one of the most admired women of the 20th century. Yet beyond the glamour, expensive jewelry, and headline-making romances was a woman whose life was filled with remarkable resilience and determination. From an early age, Elizabeth seemed destined for greatness. Her performances captivated audiences, and by adulthood she had become one of the highest-profile stars in the world. With fame came constant public fascination, particularly regarding her personal life. Every friendship, relationship, and marriage became the subject of intense media coverage, turning her private experiences into public conversation. Throughout the years, Elizabeth's romantic life often attracted as much attention as her films. Her marriages and highly publicized relationships kept her in the headlines, making her one of the most discussed celebrities of her era. However, behind the media attention was someone who genuinely valued deep emotional connections. Those who knew her described a passionate woman who invested herself completely in the people she loved. One of the most famous chapters of her life involved actor Richard Burton. Their relationship became legendary, capturing worldwide attention with its intensity, devotion, and dramatic ups and downs. Despite the challenges they faced, the connection between them remained powerful and unforgettable, becoming one of Hollywood's most iconic love stories. Actor 3. Jane Mansfield. During the 1950s and 1960s, few celebrities attracted attention quite like Jane Mansfield. With her glamorous appearance, confident personality, and ability to dominate headlines, she quickly became one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars. To the public, she seemed fearless, vibrant, and always surrounded by excitement. Yet behind the dazzling image was a woman whose life was far more complicated than many realized. Jane understood the power of publicity better than most entertainers of her era. At a time when competition in Hollywood was fierce, she knew how to keep people talking. Whether through public appearances, interviews, or major film projects, she consistently remained in the spotlight. Her larger-than-life presence helped transform her into one of the defining celebrity figures of her generation. As her fame grew, so did public fascination with her personal life. Reporters followed her every move, eager to uncover details about her relationships, family life, and career decisions. The intense attention created an image that often overshadowed her actual achievements. While many people focused on her appearance, Jane worked hard to build a successful career in film, television, and live entertainment. What many fans never saw was the pressure that came with maintaining such a high-profile public image. Hollywood expected her to fit a specific role, and audiences often viewed her through a narrow lens. Despite these expectations, Jane constantly sought opportunities to prove that she possessed far more depth and intelligence than people assumed. Her personal relationships frequently became subjects of public discussion, adding another layer of complexity to her life. Balancing career ambitions, family responsibilities, and constant media scrutiny was never easy. Yet she continued moving forward, determined to create opportunities for herself in an industry known for its challenges. Actor 4 Ava Gardner. Among Hollywood's most celebrated stars, Ava Gardner stood out for her remarkable beauty, confidence, and unforgettable screen presence. During the golden age of cinema, she became one of the industry's biggest names, admired by audiences around the world. Yet behind the glamour and fame was a woman whose life was far more complex than the image people saw on movie screens. Ava's rise to stardom happened quickly. Her natural charm and talent helped her secure major film roles, transforming her into an international celebrity. As her popularity grew, so did public interest in her personal life. Newspapers and magazines constantly followed her relationships, eager to turn every private moment into a headline. One of the most famous chapters of her life was her relationship with legendary singer Frank Sinatra. Their romance captured worldwide attention and became one of Hollywood's most talked-about love stories. While the public often focused on the dramatic side of their relationship, those close to them described a deep connection that remained meaningful for years. Despite her success, Ava never seemed completely comfortable with the Hollywood lifestyle. Unlike many celebrities who enjoyed constant publicity, she valued privacy and often looked for ways to escape the spotlight. She eventually spent much of her time in Spain, where she enjoyed a quieter life away from reporters and industry pressures. Friends frequently described Ava as independent, strong-willed, and determined to live life on her own terms. She refused to let fame control her decisions, even when her choices attracted criticism. This independent spirit became one of the defining characteristics of her personality. Actor 5 Joan Crawford. Few actresses in Hollywood history built a career as impressive as Joan Crawford. Known for her determination, elegance, and powerful performances, she rose from a difficult childhood to become one of the biggest stars of her generation. To audiences, she appeared confident and unstoppable, but behind the fame was a woman constantly fighting to maintain her place at the top. Joan's journey to success was far from easy. Before becoming a Hollywood icon, she faced financial hardship and worked tirelessly to create a better future for herself. That relentless ambition became one of her defining qualities. Once she entered the film industry, she quickly earned a reputation for professionalism and an unmatched work ethic. As her fame grew, so did public interest in her personal life. Throughout the years, Joan was linked to several high-profile relationships and marriages, making her a frequent subject of gossip columns. The media closely followed her every move, often portraying her as a glamorous but controversial figure. While some stories enhanced her image, others created challenges she struggled to escape. Beyond the headlines, Joan was known for her desire to stay relevant in an industry that constantly replaced old stars with new ones. She carefully managed her public image and worked hard to remain one of Hollywood's leading actresses. This drive helped her survive career setbacks that ended the careers of many of her contemporaries. However, success came with a price. The pressure to maintain fame and public admiration often created tension in both her professional and personal life. Friends and colleagues frequently described her as fiercely ambitious, a trait that earned both respect and criticism. Actor 6 Lana Turner. Lana Turner was one of Hollywood's most glamorous and recognizable stars, captivating audiences with her beauty, charm, and commanding screen presence. During the height of her career, she became a symbol of classic Hollywood elegance, appearing in some of the most popular films of her era. Yet behind the fame and admiration was a woman whose life was marked by personal challenges and emotional struggles. Lana's journey to stardom began at a young age when she was discovered and quickly introduced to the world of motion pictures. Her natural appeal helped her rise through Hollywood's ranks, turning her into one of the industry's biggest attractions. As her popularity increased, so did public fascination with her personal life, making her a regular feature in newspapers and entertainment magazines. Throughout the years, Lana experienced several high-profile relationships and marriages. The media followed these relationships closely, often focusing more on her private life than her professional achievements. This constant attention created pressure that few people could truly understand. While audiences saw a confident movie star, those closest to her knew she faced many difficulties behind the scenes. One of the most dramatic periods of her life brought intense public scrutiny and generated headlines around the world. The situation placed her family at the center of national attention and tested her strength during an extremely difficult time. Despite the challenges, Lana showed remarkable resilience and continued moving forward with her career. What made Lana unique was her determination to overcome setbacks. Whenever obstacles appeared, she found ways to rebuild and continue pursuing success. Her ability to adapt allowed her to remain relevant in an industry known for rapid change. Actor 7 Mae West. In an era when Hollywood expected actresses to follow strict rules and carefully protect their public image, Mae West chose a completely different path. Bold, confident, and unapologetically independent, she became one of the most talked about entertainers of her generation. Her wit, charisma, and fearless personality made her stand out in a crowded industry, turning her into a cultural icon whose influence is still felt today. Mae's rise to fame was unlike that of many Hollywood stars. Long before she became a film sensation, she had already built a successful career on stage. Her sharp sense of humor and ability to command attention helped her attract audiences wherever she performed. When she eventually entered Hollywood, she brought that same confidence to the screen, creating characters that viewers found unforgettable. As her popularity grew, Mae developed a reputation for challenging social expectations. She often portrayed strong, self-assured women who refused to let others control their lives. This approach made her both admired and controversial, especially during a period when many public figures avoided taking risks. Yet Mae understood exactly how to connect with audiences and keep people talking. Despite her glamorous image, Mae was also known for her intelligence and business instincts. She carefully managed her career, negotiated favorable contracts, and worked hard to maintain creative control over her projects. At a time when few performers had such influence, she proved that success required more than talent alone. What many people don't realize is that Mae valued loyalty and long-term relationships more than the public assumed. While newspapers often focused on her public persona, those who knew her personally described someone who was far more private and thoughtful than her image suggested. Actor Zsa Zsa Gabor. Few Hollywood personalities understood the power of fame quite like Zsa Zsa Gabor. Known for her elegance, charm, and unforgettable sense of humor, she became one of the most recognizable social figures of the 20th century. While many people remember her glamorous lifestyle and headline-making relationships, there was far more to her story than the public image she carefully created. Born in Hungary, Zsa Zsa arrived in America with ambition and determination. Her beauty quickly attracted attention, but it was her personality that truly set her apart. She possessed a natural ability to entertain people, turning interviews, public appearances, and television appearances into memorable moments that audiences loved. Over time, she transformed herself into an international celebrity whose name became synonymous with glamour. As her fame grew, so did public fascination with her personal life. Her marriages and relationships frequently became front-page news, making her one of the most talked about women in entertainment. Yet behind the headlines was someone who understood how the media worked. Rather than allowing public attention to control her, she often used it to strengthen her personal brand and remain relevant for decades. What made Zsa Zsa unique was her remarkable ability to adapt. While many stars faded after their peak years, she continued finding new ways to stay in the spotlight. Her wit, confidence, and larger-than-life personality helped her connect with new generations of fans long after her early success. Despite her glamorous reputation, Zsa Zsa also faced significant personal challenges throughout her life. She experienced hardships, health struggles, and periods of intense public scrutiny. Yet she rarely allowed those difficulties to define her. Instead, she maintained the humor and confidence that had made her famous in the first place. Actor Joan Collins. For more than 7 decades, Joan Collins has remained one of the most recognizable and enduring figures in entertainment. Known for her elegance, confidence, and commanding presence, she built a career that survived changing trends, fierce competition, and countless challenges. While many stars faded from the spotlight, Joan consistently found ways to reinvent herself and remain relevant. Joan began her career at a young age, quickly attracting attention for her beauty and screen presence. Early success brought opportunities, but it also came with obstacles. Like many actresses of her era, she often found herself cast in roles that emphasized appearance more than talent. Rather than accepting those limitations, Joan worked tirelessly to prove she was capable of much more. As her fame increased, so did public interest in her personal life. Her relationships and marriages frequently became subjects of media attention, placing her under constant scrutiny. Newspapers and magazines followed her every move, turning private moments into public discussion. Despite the pressure, Joan remained determined to maintain control over her own story. The defining chapter of her career arrived when she took on a role that transformed her into a global television icon. Her performance captivated audiences around the world and introduced her to an entirely new generation of fans. The character's confidence, intelligence, and strength mirrored many of the qualities that Joan herself displayed throughout her career. Behind the glamour was a woman who understood the importance of perseverance. She faced professional setbacks, personal disappointments, and industry challenges, yet continued moving forward. Whenever obstacles appeared, she adapted and found new opportunities to succeed. Actor Jean Tierney. During Hollywood's golden age, few actresses possessed the elegance and natural beauty of Jean Tierney. With her graceful presence and unforgettable performances, she became one of the most admired stars of the 1940s. Audiences were captivated by her sophistication, while critics praised her ability to bring depth and emotion to every role she played. Yet behind her glamorous image was a life marked by challenges that few people fully understood. Jean's rise to fame seemed almost effortless. Her striking appearance immediately attracted attention, helping her secure important roles in major productions. As her career flourished, she quickly became one of Hollywood's most respected leading ladies. To the public, she appeared to have everything a star could want: success, recognition, and admiration from millions of fans. However, life behind the spotlight was often far more difficult. Jean faced personal hardships that deeply affected her emotional well-being and family life. These struggles became some of the most painful chapters of her journey, testing her strength in ways that fame and success could never protect her from. Despite these obstacles, she continued working and remained dedicated to her career. Her relationships also attracted public interest, placing her personal life under constant observation. Like many celebrities of her era, she found it difficult to separate private matters from public attention. The pressure of maintaining a perfect image while facing personal challenges created burdens that few outsiders could truly appreciate. What made Jean remarkable was her resilience. Even during periods of uncertainty and hardship, she continued moving forward with dignity and determination. Her ability to endure difficult circumstances earned the respect of both colleagues and fans alike. Actor 11 Louise Brooks. Among the many stars of the silent film era, Louise Brooks remains one of the most fascinating and unconventional figures in Hollywood history. Known for her distinctive bob haircut, striking beauty, and independent personality, she stood apart from many of her contemporaries. While other actresses carefully followed Hollywood's expectations, Louise often chose her own path, earning both admiration and controversy throughout her career. From the beginning, Louise possessed a confidence that made her impossible to ignore. Her performances attracted attention not only because of her appearance but also because of the natural charisma she brought to the screen. Audiences were captivated by her modern image, and she quickly became one of the most recognizable faces of the silent film era. As her popularity grew, Louise developed a reputation for refusing to conform to traditional Hollywood standards. She openly expressed her opinions and resisted efforts to shape her into a predictable star. This independent attitude distinguished her from many performers of her time, but it also created tensions within an industry that expected obedience from its leading actresses. Her personal life often generated curiosity as well. Louise formed relationships with a variety of influential people and embraced a lifestyle that many considered unconventional for that era. While public opinion frequently focused on her private decisions, Louise remained determined to live according to her own beliefs rather than society's expectations. One of the most remarkable aspects of her story was her willingness to walk away from opportunities that others would have considered impossible to refuse. Instead of sacrificing her independence for greater fame, she consistently chose personal freedom, even when those decisions affected her career.